Nicolas Cage has seemingly done it all during his career that spans 5 decades, but there's one thing he hasn't done. Cage has never been in a Western until now with The Old Way, so let's find out if Nicolas Cage as a gunslinger in the Old West is worth checking out.
You boys woke up the devil.
Hey, what's up everybody? I want to wish you all a very happy new year from Movies Never Say Die. Today I'm diving into a movie called The Old Way from director Brett Donahue, and I must say I enjoyed this movie because of its simplicity. It's a very basic plot. Cage plays a retired gunslinger named Colton Briggs. He's a deadly man with a John Wick-esque mystique attached to his name. His reputation is stuff of legend, but all these years later he's just a common store owner with a wife and a daughter. However, when the son of a man that he killed many years ago returns for vengeance, Briggs will find violence returning back to his life. Now, admittedly, this movie does explore a very simple revenge narrative, and while it doesn't necessarily do anything new in this genre, I still found it to be an easy film to escape into. It was shot out on the Montana countryside, and the small budget doesn't really show with the beautiful, vast natural settings and the rustically detailed production design. The dialogue really is to the point. It doesn't try to do too much in terms of inflating melodrama, which results in a very familiar but still compelling journey of revenge that uses its added elements to elevate a tried and true storyline. First of which I think would be just the interesting dynamic between Briggs and his daughter, and second being the chemistry between Cage and young Ryan Kiera Armstrong to pull this angle of the story off with both strong emotional drama and lighthearted humor. Briggs is not a very fatherly man at all. It's almost like he never wanted to have a kid, but simply had one to appease his wife and to play the role of family man. So he's a bit rough with her in terms of treating her like an adult, and I do think this tough love dynamic between them gives the story spots of effective humor to blend with solid moments of drama and growth.
Tell me the names of the men who did this.
As long as that little girl is alive, there's no room for vengeance.
I thought Cage was very good in this role. He's effective as the gunslinger who's a man of few words, but to me the true star of the film was Armstrong. I loved her performance. She's tough. You don't really know what to make of this character, and I thought the subtle nods in her mannerisms that resembled those of her father's were a nice touch for the needs of the story. Because there is no denying this kid is the daughter of a gunslinger, and I enjoyed how that was worked into the story. I think it gave this film an unlikely duo that you really can easily connect with as they get to know one another during this time of tragedy. The rest of the cast was all serviceable for the needs of the film. Noah LaGrasse was an enjoyable villain, and with a quick pace, The Old Way is a very easy film to watch, and much better than the trailer gives the impression of, because to be honest, I wasn't expecting much, but it wasn't long before I was genuinely invested in where this story would go and where these characters would wind up. I do think there could have been more action, and I think what it does provide in terms of gunplay is relatively basic, but it doesn't get in the way of Cage and Armstrong luring you into their mission of revenge. And in the end, The Old Way was an entertaining, small-budget Western. Cage is more than capable in this role with a much more toned-down performance that does fit the beats of the plot nicely. So in the end, I'll give this movie a solid B-. I'd certainly recommend this film to Cage fans. I thought it was cool to sit back and watch him in a Western, and while admittedly his charisma was a little bit missed, this was still a very entertaining one-time watch. It doesn't have the gusto of bigger budget, larger scope Westerns, but it's a well-rounded flick fueled by revenge and a father-daughter bonding that really can lure you in.
This is Jack Burton in the Pork Chop Express, and I'm talking to whoever's listening out there.
Survive a war. You gotta become war.
I suppose we have to register you as a lethal weapon.
You trying to say Jesus Christ can't hit a curveball?